All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Live Life in Maine. In this episode, we're going to talk about the essential things that you need to live in Maine. I'm going to kind of give you about 15 essential items. The list was at about 50. I boiled the ocean down. I got it all the way down to 15. It wasn't easy. There could actually be more on this list, but 15 essential items that you need to have or acquire if you're living in Maine. Some of these are going to be in a survival kit, and then some of these are just some of the items you should have if you live here. So guys, if you're thinking about moving here, if you're thinking about living here, or if you are moving here, or maybe you're already living here and you want to compare notes, then this episode is going to be for you guys. Grab a pen and paper because we're going to get after a Maine survival kit right now. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Scott Tebow. I'm a broker with eXp Realty. I'm an investor. I flip property. I own multiple properties. I've owned multiple businesses. I've renovated property. I've helped develop some. And I've been to all sections of the state, from Kittery to Fort Kent to Calais to Jackman and everything in between. So I wouldn't consider myself an expert because I think that has some legal ramifications, but I'm pretty well versed when it comes to living in Maine, selling in Maine, buying in Maine, dealing with businesses in Maine. Pretty much anything Maine in the business sector or in the housing sector, I feel pretty versed in. Guys, I'm a Mainer. So what is a Mainer? A Mainer is somebody who was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life, other than, as I've said in some other videos, a short stint that I spent, not a short stint, about 10 years that I spent away in the military. I'm a father of 5, a husband, now grandfather 2 times over. And I just love living up here. This whole episode and these videos, this whole channel is really to help inform you of what it's like to live in Maine. In case you're thinking of moving here, buying here, selling here, or investing here, I would encourage you to reach out to me and my team, and we can help you make that smooth transition. Guys, my team and I here at eXp, we get calls, texts, emails all the time asking us what it's like to live here. So if you're looking to move here in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, or maybe at some point in the future, drop us a line, send us a call, book a Zoom call with us, give us a call, send us a text, an email. Glad to help you make that smooth transition to Maine. All right, guys, as I said, I'm going to talk about the essential items that you need to have or acquire if you're going to move here. If you're already living here, or if you're thinking about moving here, you can maybe get a head start on that. So let's get into it. These items are not in any specific order. I'm not saying one is, the first one I'm going to give you is not number 1 you must have, and the 15th number one I gave you is 15. I'm just going to kind of rattle them off, and there's 15 items. Some of them are essential. Some of them are like, you got to have it in a survival kit. And then some are what I call essential. You should work on trying to acquire them, but you don't necessarily need to have them right out of the gate. All right, guys, without any specific order. Number 1, you're going to want some type of watercraft. Again, not a survival item, but I do consider it an essential item. Maine is ranked number 6 in terms of the most water in a state. Behind, I believe, Michigan is actually number 1 because of the Great Lakes. I believe Florida, Wisconsin's right up there because of the Great Lakes. Louisiana, obviously. Believe it or not, number 5 is Alaska, but again, a lot of frozen water up there, so not a lot of things you can do on it other than, snowmobile or, skate or ice fish. And then Maine is ranked number 6. Maine is a water paradise, fishing paradise, water skiing paradise. Tubing, floats, swimming. It's a paradise, especially in the summertime if you enjoy being in the water, or even in kind of the later summer, fall, or even early spring. I know this is going to sound crazy to some of you guys, but cold water immersion is good. Obviously, you got the ocean as well. But if you can get some type of watercraft, whether that's a boat, ideally, right? Maybe 2 boats. one for salt water and one for fresh water. I would say if you kind of live on the coast, you're gonna kind of want a boat that can go into both if you can't afford two different boats. If you live more inland and it's a little trek for you to the ocean, 2-3 hours, then maybe you're gonna want a freshwater boat. But if you can't afford a boat, you should definitely save up and try to get a kayak. There's places you can go, like I've done in other videos with snowshoes or snowmobiles when there's snow on the ground. There's places you can go with a kayak or a canoe, but I like kayaks better, that you can't get to any other way, guys. It's and some of the wildlife that you'll see on a kayak, because it's so quiet, and the little nooks and crannies you can kind of paddle into, it's breathtaking, and it's definitely going to be worth having some type of watercraft. So number one, watercraft, kayak, boat, canoe. Shoot, it could be a paddle boat if you want, but I think kayak's the way to go if you don't already have a boat or can't afford a boat. Number two, muck boots. Now, what are muck boots? Most of you who live in the northern states or, kind of in the wetter states know what muck boots are, but these are boots that help you not get mud all over yourself, right? So you're definitely going to want a set of muck boots, and there's no better place in Maine to get a pair of muck boots than the little old store in Freeport, Maine called LL Bean. I mean, LL Bean's not little anymore. They're in Freeport. It really should be called Beanport. It's a massive store. The whole area is kind of an LL Bean area in terms of outlets and stores and things to do. But you're definitely going to want to get some muck boots. I recommend the old-fashioned bean boot. They're awesome boots. They're triple stitched. They have rubber bottoms and leather uppers. You can get them high tops, low tops boots. They have different sizes, insulation, different types. Definitely take a trip, go up to Freeport, go up to LL Bean's, look to get a pair of bean boots. That's the flagship product of how LL Bean came on the map. I believe Mr. Bean himself started LL Bean with that boot back in 1912. So get some muck boots, buy them from LL Bean. If you don't already have a pair, you won't regret it. All right, guys, number three. Part of the survival kit you're going to need, and it's for your car, you're going to want a winter car kit or winter survivor kit for your car. And there's 4 items that you're going to want in that car. You're going to want a brush or a brush rake. Now, so a lot of people, they just brush off their windshields. I've seen, especially people who aren't familiar with the snow and only been here, they just clean off their windshields. Big mistake, guys. Don't just do your windshields. I will tell you, just as important as doing your windshields is doing your roof and the front hood. Hood is only because if you're driving down the road, all that snow is going to come back and hit you in the windshield, and you're going to constantly be trying to wipe it to get out of the way. But more importantly is your roof. I've had this happen to me before, guys, just being lazy. And I have a truck. I have actually 4 vehicles, but in my truck specifically, right, if I'm out because I don't want to drive my sports cars or whatever, I didn't wipe off or rake off the top of my roof of my truck once, and I was coming down this hill and stopping, and all that snow came forward right onto my windshield. It's a good thing that I was coming to a stop already, because I was whited out. I was blinded, and even my windshield wipers couldn't remove that snow, because when it came down, it was already heavy. It just packed there, and the windshield wipers had a hard time removing it. So you definitely want to get rid of the snow on your hood, on your roof, and obviously on your windows and mirrors. So a snow rake or snow brush, ideal to have. Also, you're going to want a gallon of windshield washer fluid. This is important because in the wintertime, specifically up here, you get a lot of slush, grease, and grime from the roads, from the plow trucks, from other cars driving by, splashing up on your windows, on your windshields and stuff. So you're going to want to make sure those windshields stay clean, cleared off. Sure, you can use your windshield wipers, but what it does is just kind of takes the muck and the mud and the salt and the sand and just grinds it into your window and creates streaks. And in Maine, the sun is pretty bright in the wintertime. It's actually brighter in the wintertime than it is in the summer. When you get that reflection off the snow, it can be blinding if you don't have a clear windshield. So you're definitely going to want some a gallon of windshield washer fluid. You're also going to want a shovel, whether it's a little shovel that you can fold in half. If you have a little car, obviously you can't get a big shovel. You're going to need some type of shovel. And that's more importantly, other than just digging out if you have a driveway or overnight. I've had this happen to me often when I didn't have my truck, and that is when snowplows go by, or even if you're working somewhere and they're plowing the parking lots to make paths so cars can get out and around. They build those banking ups behind your vehicles and next to your vehicles, and if you have a car, you're not going to get through that banking. You got to dig it out. So definitely have a shovel. Obviously. Overnight, if you're parked on the street, if you're allowed to park on the street, there's not a parking ban, you're going to get plowed in by a snowplow, so you're going to want a shovel. They're just good to have in your car no matter what, especially in the wintertime. You never know when you're going to need a shovel, or come across somebody that's going to need help digging out from somewhere. So you're going to want a shovel. I talked about windshield washer fluid, snow brush, shovel. Number 4, very important, you're going to want jumper cables. And I would recommend getting the ones that are 20 feet long. And here's why. I can't tell you how many times I've had to jump my daughter's cars, or my wife's car, or my friend's car, or just some stranger's car as I was driving by. They waved me down. But if you can't get to the front of the car, most batteries in cars are in the front. I get some are in the back, but most of them are in the front. If you can't get to the front of the car, you can't line up your battery with their battery, you're going to have a hard time jumping their car if you don't have long jumper cables. So you can go right on Amazon. I'd recommend getting a set of jumper cables that are at least 20 feet long. I think there's ones that come longer, but I would definitely get some that are 20 feet long, so you can get to the front of the car from your car, or vice versa. It's much easier to get a jump when you have cables than when you don't have cables. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, we all have jumper cables in our vehicles, specifically my truck. But if I don't have my truck and have my car, I don't have a set of jumper cables in there. And if you're one of these climate people and you have an EV car, can't help you, because I have no idea how to jump an EV car. Never had an EV car. So I don't know what it takes. I don't even know how well EV cars would work up here in the wintertime long term. But if you have an electrical vehicle, don't know what to tell you, but you should still have a set of jumper cables, if nothing else, to jump somebody else if you have a combustible typical engine car. Number 4. Snow tires. No doubt about it, you're going to want some type of tread on your vehicles. Now, there's 3 types of snow tires you can buy. The first type, which I don't recommend, is studded. And the reason why I don't recommend studded tires is A, you can definitely only use them during the winter months, but B, they can be dangerous because when the roads get clear and you're going maybe down a turnpike or you're on an interstate and you're going fast, studded tires can cause trouble with your car. Specifically, the tires can blow out a tire. They don't stop as well. They don't grip as well. Sure, they grip on snow and stuff, but when the roads are clear, and they make a lot of noise. So I would not recommend studded tires unless you're just going to use it to drive around when there's snow and there was no snow and the roads are clear. You're not going to drive it. So the next 2 sets I would definitely recommend snow tires. So a couple of options here. You can get snow tires. You're definitely going to want snow tires if you have a car. Most cars these days are front wheel driven, but you're going to want some snow tires. And the only challenge with snow tires that I see, but you're going to want them if you have a car anyways, is you have to change them out, right? So if you can have 4 separate set of rims, then you can just swap them out that way. But if you can't, then you can go into like AutoZone or some of the other tire places up here, Tire Warehouse, and you can have them swapped out. I think it's like $200 every time you do it. So it's like $400 a year to put them on and put them off, maybe a little less. But you're going to want snow tires. And then if you have a vehicle like a truck, like I have, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or an all-wheel drive vehicle, although I have a BMW that's an all-wheel drive vehicle, I don't swap my tires out for that. I run flats on those, but I don't drive that in when there's snow out, even though they're great. BMWs are great in the snow, but you're definitely going to want all-season tires, which is I have on my truck. You don't have to swap those out. They're all seasoned. I can go from 2-wheel drive, obviously, to 4-wheel drive, high, low. I often switch and shifting in between 2 and 4. Depends on the roads, depends on the hills, depends on how well the roads are taken care of. But all season tires are kind of, in my opinion, the way to go. If you have a vehicle that's either all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, you don't necessarily have to have snow tires. The beauty of snow tires over regular tires is, as I understand it, snow tires, obviously, they have a deeper kind of tread, but they also have more rubber, so they sit on the road kind of flatter, and they dig in more. So definitely going to want snow tires, all-season tires. Last option is studded tires. Do not, I repeat, guys, do not drive a vehicle up here, if it's rear-wheel drive and you don't have at least studded tires or snow tires on it, because you're not going anywhere. You're just going to be spinning around in circles, and people behind you are going to get frustrated, because I used to live in Portland on a corner of Stevens and Brighton Avenue, and I know most people don't know where that is. When I was really, this is 25, 30 years ago. And every morning in the wintertime, you'd hear these cars trying to get up the hill to the stop sign. And that's the worst, stop sign or a stop light at the top of a hill, because then you got to start from a standing position. And if you have a rear-wheel drive vehicle, good luck. All right. Number 5, to go along with your car, and you should have this all year, but definitely in the wintertime. I have it on all of my vehicles. You're going to want a car wash membership. Guys, in the wintertime here, not only do the roads get plowed, but they get salted and sanded, and all that stuff gets in underneath and on top of your vehicles. And if you don't have a car wash membership, you're gonna have to get that off. And sometimes I go through a car wash 6-7 times in a week. It definitely pays for itself. I think I pay like $18.99 a month per vehicle. But it definitely pays for itself, because if it doesn't, what happens to the sand and salt? I mean, what does salt do to metal? Eventually it corrodes and rusts it. So rusts out the bottom. So you definitely gonna want a car wash membership. You definitely want to be going through that car wash, excuse me, locally to where you live. Well worth the investment. Obviously, the car wash I go through here, you can go through as many times as you want for that fee. But I would strongly encourage you to get a car wash. Sorry, guys, I keep on looking at my audio because sometimes it shuts off, and I want to make sure it's still running. All right. Number 6, you're going to want a roof rake. All right. So what the heck is a roof rake, Scott? A roof rake, it's about this wide. It's long, it's metal, it's got some runners on the bottom. And what you do is it has 3 or 4 attachment poles, 10-foot attachments. And what you want to do is you want to kind of get that up on the roof and pull snow down at least 2 to 3 feet up on the roof, pulling towards the eaves and the edge. Because what happens in the wintertime, especially if you don't have a well-insulated attic, and you'll know if you don't have a well-insulated attic by the number of icicles you have on the side of your house or hanging off your roof. If you have a lot of icicles, you even live right here now, and you have a lot of icicles on your roof, it's because your roof is not insulated well enough. It should be very cold in the wintertime, in your attic. But if it's not insulated enough, obviously that heat rises, right? Heat's coming up through the main living quarters, coming through your roof, melting the snow underneath, causing it to drip down and run off and create icicles. But you're going to want a roof rake to rake down at least 2 to 3 feet of snow from the edge of the roof down to prevent ice jam. So what happens is that snow and underneath melts, it starts running down, it gets stuck at the gutters or at the edge of your roof line, and it builds up and builds up and it builds up an ice jam. And then what happens if you don't take care of it is that ice buries itself underneath the shingles or whatever you have on your roof. If you have a metal roof, you're all set. But if you don't have a metal roof, most people have shingled roof. You're going to bury that ice up underneath, and you're going to have ice damage on your roof, and that's no fun. You're going to have to get that taken care of because you don't want to leak your roof. So definitely get a roof rake around the tops of your roof. Depends on how long the snow stays up there. I try to rake my roof. If I know it's going to be really cold, I leave it up there for a day. If I know it's going to be really warm, I kind of let it melt off quickly. But if I know it's going to come and go and there's going to be a lot of snow up there for a while, I rake the roof only because I don't want to deal with ice jams. All right. Number 7, you're going to want to have some type of backpack for 2 reasons. Number 1, you can explore this great state outdoors. There's so many things to see and so many things to do. You're going to want a backpack. And number 2, you're going to want a backpack to put some essentials in case you have to. In the military, we call them go bags, right? In case you need something immediately, you'll know right where it is. Now, there's a phenomenal company here, guys, in Maine, and specifically Biddeford, Maine, called Hyperlite Mountain Gear, Hyperlite Mountain Gear. They make ultralight, water-resistant backpacks. They're not the cheapest in the industry, but they're phenomenal. They come from a fabric called Dyneema. It was an old Cuban thread. They're phenomenal backpacks. You can get a backpack. You can get different sizes. There's different types of bags they have other than backpacks. I don't know if they have duffel bags still, but you can definitely go on their website, hyperlightmountaingear.com, and check out the different types of gear they have. I would encourage you to buy at least one, especially not only in the winter and the summertime. Hyperlight, they're actually light. That Dyneema material is stronger than steel for its thickness and weight. And it's water resistant. So you're definitely going to want a backpack, especially to take you out around if you're going to go on a day hike or around this great state in the summertime, fall time, obviously, because of the foliage, or even in the wintertime if you're winter camping, or if you need some stuff to put in a go bag, even in the car or at the house. You're going to want a backpack. Definitely important to have. All right. Number 7. Number 8, guys, you're going to either want a generator, which is ideally the ideal thing to have if you can have a generator for your house, one that you can at least hook up to your furnace. If you're on your well pump, probably your refrigerator, and probably some lights. You're going to want a probably 2,000 amp generator. If you can't afford a generator, or you don't have a generator, then you're definitely going to want some type of battery backup, even something small like this, right? That plugs into your phone if you lose power for an extended period of time, because even though you lose power, the internet generally still works. I have fiber to my house, and fiber works all the time, but the power didn't work. So without the power, no fiber. But if you can power up your fiber connections, your routers and stuff, then you're going to have internet. If you can't, then you can still use your phone, use a cellular service. Phone goes dead, use one of those battery packs. Obviously, this is a lot cheaper than a generator, but I would encourage you to get a generator if you can. You may only use it once in every 5 years. You may use it 5 or 6 times a year. It all depends. I've had to use my generator twice this year already, and it was more because of the winds in the rain than it was the snow. We had some pretty big winds up here that took out power. We had a little bit of an ice storm, not very big. It was like a tenth of ice, but it did take out power for about 12, 24 hours. So you're going to want a generator. Number 9, you kind of already have it. Most likely you already have it if you have a decent if you have a really newer phone, an iPhone or an Android, you're going to want a good camera. Most people use their phones these days, but if you're more of a photography or enthusiast, you're going to want a good camera, whether it's on your phone or a separate camera. I have a Sony 4400 that I'm shooting this video with actually right now, but you're going to want a good camera because there are all types of wildlife to see, from the birds to the aquatic sea animals, if you're going on the ocean, to the lakes, to the moose. I mean, you're definitely going to want a camera. To the sunsets, to the sunrises, to the picturesque beauty of Maine. You're going to want a camera. Most people have a camera on their phone, so you're kind of all set with that. But if you want to get more into shooting photography, then I'd encourage you to get a camera. You won't regret it, because the memories you're going to make with those photos are going to be awesome. Yeah, still working. Number 10, you're going to want either a ceiling fans or air conditioning or heat pumps. You're going to want some type of way to move around air in the summertime. Definitely, if you can cool it off, be great too. Maine, along with most of the eastern seaboard, has humidity. We do get humidity up here. It isn't like, so thick you can drink it, but you do get humid weather up here. And so you're going to want air conditioning. Ideally, if you can't afford air conditioning, you can't afford air conditioners to put in your windows, then definitely get some ceiling fans or some fans that can move around air, because you're going to definitely want to move around that air, or otherwise you're just going to be sitting melting in your place of living, whether that's a house, an apartment, a condo, wherever. You're definitely going to want that. I love the heat pump theory. Only because, they serve two purposes: air conditioning in the summer and heating in the winter. They shouldn't be used as your main heat source, however, because they're not really spec to go, much below 20 degrees. So you're definitely going to want an additional heat source. But heat pumps are ideal things. Depends on how many heads you want. In the bedrooms, ideally, common areas, downstairs, main living quarters, depends on what type of house you live in. But heat pumps are awesome. But you're going to want something to move the air or cool the air. And coupled along with that, you're going to want a humidifier. So in the wintertime, things get really dry around here. So you're going to want a humidifier to kind of season that air, to add a little bit of moisture back into the air. Kind of in the summertime, just the opposite, right? A dehumidifier to take the water out of the air, especially in basements. I have a dehumidifier in my basement, which is where I'm filming this from, in my office. You're definitely going to want a dehumidifier. I noticed when I didn't run my dehumidifier for a couple weeks, some of the paperwork and stuff I had down here felt a little soft, not crinkly, but a little moist, and that was because there was water in it. I turned on my humidifier and dehumidifier, and sure enough, it was like 75%, and I emptied those buckets like 4 times in the 24 hours, just taking the water out of the air. So you're definitely going to want a dehumidifier and a humidifier for the winter. Hopefully you can get them both in one, be ideal. Number 12, I think you should get a snow blower. So people plow their yards and people snow blow their yards here in Maine in the wintertime. Guys, you can go either way. The only problem I have with people who plow, and I have a lot of buddies that do that. They plow. They're landscapers, right? They plow in the winter and they landscape in the summer. They got to put the snow somewhere. So typically it's pushed off to the side on your lawn, and every spring your yard's going to get torn up. Your yard is definitely going to get torn up. They can't leave it in the street. It's illegal. You have to remove it from the street. You can't have it put back in the street for a plow to get rid of it. You got to plow it somewhere in your yard, and it's going to tear up your yard. So I recommend a snow blower. I have an Aaron's 2021. I think it's a 24-inch bucket. It's electronic fuel injection, and I paid $2,000 for it, but you're definitely going to want a snow blower. It's actually not a bad, it's better than shoveling. I would not want to be shoveling all the stuff that I have to snow blow, but definitely get a snow blower if you can. Snow blow your yard. It's kind of therapeutic too out there in the cold. As long as you are bundled up and as long as you're blowing the snow in the right direction. I've had a lot of times where I blew snow and it came right back on me, so that's no fun unless you got a hood scoop on your snow blower, which I do not. But definitely get a snow blower to blow some snow around, clean your driveways up, keep them nice and neat, trimmed up as you will, kind of like mowing your lawn, trimmed up, and you won't have to worry about ruined yards and lawns and landscapes if you have a snow blower. Number 13, I was considering if I was going to keep this on the list or not, but I did, and that is seasonal allergy medicine. So guys, what I didn't know is that your body changes. So when I was a kid, I used to get allergies all the time, specifically in the summer and fall, either the hay fever or the tree pine. I would get just this crazy sneezing all the time, and it drove me crazy. Then it went away. I went into the military, and it went away. And I was like, well, that's crazy. And then I came back to Maine, and like 10 years later, it came back. And thankfully, it's gone again. But your body changes, your chemistry, I don't know what it's called, your pathways, your meridian pathways or whatever. It changes. What I will tell you is Claritin works pretty well. And I'll also tell you this. I went to a chiropractor once, ranting a little bit here, And I had these allergies, and she put like things on my ears and did acupuncture, and my allergies went away. So I guess it has something to do with your meridians getting bound up, or I don't know. I don't know all that Eastern medicine, but some of it works. But definitely going to want some type of allergy medicine, Claritin, or if you need something, prescribed, because it's no fun having allergies in the summer and fall times here, or in the spring times here, guys. It can be pretty miserable, running nose, itchy eyes. Seasonal allergy medicine. Number 14, you go on a lot of websites, you Google all about the bugs and all that stuff up here. We do have bugs, not as much in southern Maine as in the rest of the state. And sure, you can buy bug spray, but I don't recommend it, guys, because you're just going to be coating yourself with bug spray a lot. I recommend you get some type of bug machine. Like we have these discs that we put in these little machines, and they light and they put off a little, I don't know, smoke or steam. You can't really see it, but keeps the bugs away. Obviously, tiki torches keeps the bugs away, but you're going to want some type of, I wouldn't say bug repellent spray, some type of machine, especially if you're sitting back on your decks or you're camping. You're going to want something to keep the bugs away, specifically if you end up in Western Maine, Central Maine, and Northern Maine. You're going to be dealing with mosquitoes and all that a lot. I bet you didn't know this, but we have over a billion, I'm going to probably billions of Air National Guard members here in the state of Maine. Billions. Because as my brother-in-law says, the mosquitoes, the black flies, that's the Air National Guard. You can't survive those without some type of protection. You don't want to be sitting around with screens and all those hoods of screens like beekeepers have all the time. You don't want to be spraying yourself with bug repellent all the time. That can get old. You gotta, you smell, and you gotta always take baths and showers and wash your clothes. But these bug repellent machines, get them on Amazon, get them at Walmart, pretty much get them anywhere around here. They come in pretty handy. Just make sure you get the right ones. There's a lot of them out there. There's actually a kid that created some invention I saw in it, and I tried it, and it friggin' worked amazing. I can't remember what it's called, but dig into that if you're going to hear. You want some bug pellet machine. And lastly, guys, you're going to want a gun. Not to protect yourself against other people, although Maine's laws are pretty, I don't like using this word, pretty liberal when it comes to guns. Our Constitution says that citizens of Maine have the right to own guns, and it shall never be challenged. And you can carry without a permit here. So we're an open carry state, but you're going to want a gun. Ideally, you're going to want a gun, a 10 millimeter if you can get it, but they're a little bit heavier and a little bit bigger, maybe with a hollow point, because if you're out there hiking, or if you're out there in nature and you're out there in the wilderness, you may run into some of the natural wildlife. Number one, you probably won't, but you could run into a black bear. You don't want to run into a black bear, guys. Black bears are kind of skittish, except when they're very hungry or you're messing with their cubs, and then they're very aggressive. So you're definitely going to want some type of weapon if you run into a animal like that. Even with a black bear, I don't know if a gun's going to really be best, because unless you're a crack shot, you're going to be running and that bear's going to be chasing you. You're going to have to shoot him. So, and it ain't going to be one shot unless you get lucky. So you might want bear repellent at that point, but a gun for the other animals, even a moose, right? A moose can get pretty angry and pretty aggressive if you're messing with its calves. They're pretty much docile animals, but if you're messing with the calves, they're not docile. Coyotes, depends on where you're going to go. Again, southern Maine, don't need it. You're not really going to run into that type of wildlife. Central Maine, definitely northern Maine, you're going to want some guns. And honestly, if you're going to go out anywhere in those type of woods, you're going to probably want long rifle guns. They're going to be much more effective, but a gun doesn't hurt to have. If you can get a 10 mil, great. 9 mils are fine, but 9 mils a shot, the sound's going to scare away most of the animals. But if you run across a black bear, you're you might be thinking you want bear repellent instead. But even that, right, if you're running across their cubs or you're in their domain and they're very hungry, you don't hear a lot of bear attacks in Maine. I haven't heard of any in years. What you do hear of is that bears come right up on porches and they're looking for food, so that you could get caught off guard by a bear, especially at dusk and dawn. They typically don't come up on porches and stuff when it's really, really dark. But more dusk and dawn, they'll come up right before the sun comes up or right before the sun comes down. You'll see more bears out there if you're in kind of the central, northern, western parts of Maine. But just saying, or if you're out there camping, right, it doesn't hurt to have a gun. Flares, good to have too. But all right, guys, those are the 15 things that you should have as essential items to live in Maine. Again, I'm going to go through them real quick. Get my papers back around. You're going to want a watercraft. You're going to want muck boots. You're going to want vehicle winter gear, which makes a snow brush, shovel, windshield washer fluid, jumper cables at least 20 feet long. You're going to want snow tires. You're going to want a car wash membership. You're going to want a roof rake. You're going to want a backpack. You're going to want a generator or a backup power for your phone. You're going to want a good camera, probably already have it. You're going to want ceiling fans or air conditioners or heat pumps. You're going to want a humidifier/dehumidifier. I had them together. You're going to want to have a snowblower. You're going to want to have some seasonal allergy medicine. You're going to want to have a bug repellent machine, and you're going to want to have a gun or some type of something to ward off kind of the larger land animals that we have in Maine, specifically if you're in kind of central northern, and western Maine, you're probably gonna run into some of those animals. All right, guys, I hope this information was helpful. Drop me a line, send me a text, tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I missed some items. Tell me if you've ever been to Maine. Have you ever visited here? Are you thinking about moving here? Guys, the information's below in the contact in the description. I hope this information was helpful. We're here to help you. We're here to provide content. My next episode is going to be why you don't want to move to Portland. So stick around. That'll be out in about a week. And until then, guys, have a great week. Stay safe. Stay warm. Talk to you soon. Scott, over and out. Bye-bye.